Hey, everybody. It has been a very interesting 24 hours in the world of sim racing as we've just learned that Corsair is interested in buying Fanatec. And Andrew, this really this really caught a lot of people off guard. I know it's not something that we were really expecting. I don't think anyone was expecting, but it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean it's more or less come out of nowhere, but again, as you say, it does make sense. When we know that Fanatec's been having, well, Fanatec's parent company Endor has been having a few issues over the last few months, I think, dating back to Black Friday. And there was obviously some wild changes earlier in the spring with the long term CEO Thomas Jackemeyer being ousted from his position and replaced with a relative unknown, I think, from the food industry called Andreas Ruff. And I think the last that we heard, Thomas was trying to get together an investment group to kind of repurchase Endor and get himself back in there. And we know how much Thomas loves the gaming industry, and we know how passionate he is about the Fanatec's hardware offerings. And then out of nowhere, Corsair.
Yeah. I know Thomas, and you do as well. I mean, we've
Yeah,
met Thomas several times. I've met him several times. I really appreciate the guy's passion for this industry. I think he really loves what he does. I think he loves his company. But the reality is, it's a pretty tough industry because you're dealing with a lot of R&D, a lot of production challenges in China, and then, of course, you have the licensing issues as well, which has really plagued the launch of the Gran Turismo DD Extreme rather famously. There's
yeah.
been a lot of drama surrounding that, and I think the reality is it's really hard and it's really difficult, and you combine that with the logistics challenges, which has been a struggle for a lot of companies recently with global events, and you have a recipe for trouble, and that's really come out in the a lot of the shipping delays and order issues that many people have experienced, and it's a real shame, I think, but maybe this could work out for the best for everyone because Corsair is a pretty considerable company.
Yeah, I mean, of course, as a home name brand, I mean, even amongst people who just just play on PC, they make so many components for PCs. I mean, I think I've got some Corsair memory sticks in my PC here. But yeah, I mean, they've got a wide reach across the gaming industry and streaming as well. I know they own the Elgato brand, popular capture cards. I know they own, I think, Scuff, the custom controller manufacturer. So I think Fanatec's a very good fit for the company.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense because you look at the sim racing hardware industry, especially in the wheels in particular. You really have the three big heavyweights. You've got Thrustmaster, you have Logitech, and of course you have Fanatec. And Fanatec has always sort of been its own company. I mean, it's a small company relative to most consumer hardware companies out there in the industry, and it's always been sort of more niche and more specialized in many ways. Where you have Logitech and even Thrustmaster, they're quite large, I think, comparatively. And for Corsair, I think it makes a lot of sense because they don't really have any sim racing products. They're more generalized with controllers and mice and PC hardware and keyboards, that sort of thing. So they're used to competing with a company like Logitech and Thrustmaster in these other areas. It makes a lot of sense. I'd say they've had their eyes on Fanatec for a while now, and they've probably just decided to swoop in at this opportunity as the company is experiencing some issues
Yeah,
to make this acquisition offer. And it makes a lot of sense.
yeah, and we know that Endor is heavily debt laden. I think the removal of Thomas originally was, I think they said it was a condition of a an extension, pausing loan payments to have Thomas removed as CEO. I don't quite follow that one myself. It's a strange condition. But yeah, I think Corsair said in their initial press release that Endor has something in the region of 70 million euros of debt, which I think $75 million. So I mean, it is a difficult industry. They've had their problems with. I believe they were caught up in the Ever Given issue with a load of Fanatec products on a container ship stuck in the Suez Canal. They had their own issues with their websites, logistics. I think they had a problem with overselling on Black Friday. Then they had the warehouse move from California to Texas for North Americas, and yeah, I mean we've seen a lot on the forums of people being relatively unhappy with the time it's taking to get their products to them, and I think something had to give, and thankfully the way it's given is a large company like Corsair has come in and hopefully will rescue it, and it will be to the benefit of all of sim racing.
Yeah, and we need this competition. We need companies like Fanatec out there. We need companies to push Logitech and to push Thrustmaster because consumers are the ones who win in the end of all this. And
Yeah,
Fanatec makes great products. I obviously, just recently reviewed the DD Extreme. They've got this licensing deal with Gran Turismo. They've got Full Force coming on board, which is a obvious competitor to Logitech's True Force technology, which is amazing. It's fantastic. I think that's clearly the future of force feedback products. And, hopefully people don't lose too much confidence in the company. I mean, it is it's kind of a questionable time right now. So I've seen people holding off on their orders, and I certainly understand that. But hopefully, from what I've heard behind the scenes, everything is moving along okay. And this Corsair announcement, I noticed we had press releases from both Corsair and Fanatec, both of which were then, I guess, redacted. The links just kind
yeah,
of disappeared. But you can't really put that genie back in the bottle when you issue a press release. So
no,
it goes out on all the newswire services, and there it is. So I'm sure some lawyers and other people involved in this acquisition probably got upset about that sort of thing. Hopefully, that doesn't mean there's any issues, but I'm sure they want to keep a lot of this behind the
no, yeah,
scenes.
I think that's just a case of somebody being a bit overeager with the submit button. But yeah, it went out to all the wires, and it was I know it vanished from the Corsair website, and yeah, it's kind of locking the stable door literally there. But yeah, and as you say, that the competition in the industry is, I mean, it's useful for consumers. I know we've had a Turtle Beach of all people came out with their own direct drive wheel recently, and the whole thing is driving the industry forwards.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. This is a really good indicator for sim racing because if you look at Fanatec's stock price, if you look at Corsair's stock price, I think any type of PC or technology accessory company, they had this huge boom during the pandemic, and you had everybody at home. They wanted to upgrade their electronics. They wanted to get into solitary hobbies like sim racing, and there was this massive rush to buy all this stuff. And now that things are starting to get back to normal, you have less spending on these types of products. You've got global economy issues and all that sort of thing. So you have people pulling back on their discretionary spending. So all these companies are sort of in I don't know if a retraction is the right word, but they're sort of it's not boom times like it was just a few years ago, I guess is the best way to describe it. But for sim racing as a hobby, which is what we care about the most, I think it's really good that Corsair is willing to invest this much money in a company like Fanatec. I think that says a lot about their confidence in this industry as a whole, which is a good thing for us as the enthusiasts in all this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to see what the future has in store for Fanatec. I know there's a lot of people are going Corsair. Are they the people that do the RGB lights on everything? But that would be great on a steering wheel. I'd love to have something with backlit buttons that I can race in the dark and see it properly.
Yeah, and the GT DD Extreme It's got a lot of RGB lights on it
It
already.
does. It
So
does.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this was foreshadowed a long time ago. We should have read
Yeah.
the tea leaves back then to see maybe it was more obvious in retrospect than we knew at the time. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm really looking forward to this. I think it's a good sign. We definitely want companies like Fanatec to survive and thrive. It's good for everybody, good for the industry, and we'll see what happens.